In the ancestral hall of the Pei family, Chen Chuchu knelt before the memorial tablet of her birth mother, the late Minister Pei Wujiang. She recalled her mother's dying wish, entrusted to the city owner, that Chuchu would grow up to be useful, succeed her as minister, and serve Huayuan City. Now knowing her true lineage, Chen Chuchu lamented that she was never destined to be city owner, yet was given false hope. When Pei Hong arrived to comfort her, Chen Chuchu, believing he, Chen Qianqian, and others had kept the truth from her, angrily accused them of letting her live a grand illusion. Her resentment towards Chen Qianqian intensified. Meanwhile, Chen Qianqian spoke with Han Shua's mother, the Xuanhu city owner's wife, Minister Hua. Minister Hua shared her past. Her father was Xuanhu's Minister of Defense. When he fell ill and war was imminent, she, then young, disguised herself as a man to fight in his place. During that campaign, she met Han Shua's father, who was then an army supervisor, and proudly recounted how she defeated him in a duel. After their marriage, however, she acknowledged that she had lived a domestic life, abandoning her love for the art of war and leading armies. Chen Qianqian resonated with her, understanding her desire to return to the battlefield. Chen Qianqian argued that a family should be a partnership, where both husband and wife are equal and free to pursue their ambitions, challenging the notion that women must sacrifice their careers for family. She also reflected that her own female superior system in Huayuan City was equally unfair to men. Minister Hua was deeply moved by Chen Qianqian's words, realizing that her longing to return to her true self was valid. Empowered by her hidden history and newfound determination, Chen Chuchu publicly revealed her identity as the daughter of the late Minister Pei Wujiang, presenting a jade pendant and a handwritten letter as proof. She then forcefully seized the flower token, the symbol of command, from Pei Hong and crushed it, declaring that from now on, Huayuan city guards would only recognize the person, not the token. Proclaiming herself the rightful Minister Pei, she immediately tore up the existing trade agreement with Xuanhu City and withheld the Blackstone mine. She sent a message to Xuanhu, demanding Chen Qianqian's return, threatening to never sell Blackstone minerals to the Han family again if they refused. She further consolidated her power by replacing the city owner's mansion guards with her own loyalists and effectively placed the Huayuan city owner under house arrest. When her adoptive mother confronted her, Chen Chuchu unapologetically stated that with power in her hands, the title of city owner was irrelevant. She vowed to prove herself superior to Chen Qianqian and ensure she wouldn't enjoy a peaceful life with Han Shua. News of Chen Chuchu's actions reached Xuanhu City. Chen Qianqian, suspecting it was a trap, decided to return to Huayuan to investigate. Han Shua, fearing for her safety, insisted on accompanying her. However, his father, the Xuanhu city owner, refused to permit it, intending to send Chen Qianqian back alone to resolve the crisis. Han Shua's mother, Minister Hua, was enraged by her husband's condescending attitude toward women and his willingness to sacrifice Chen Qianqian. She declared her intention to personally lead troops to assist Chen Qianqian. When her husband threatened to divorce her if she dared to take up arms, Minister Hua promptly threw a divorce letter back at him, stating she had endured his misogyny long enough and was divorcing him first. She then summoned Minister Li, who had guarded her father's Xian token, and dramatically reclaimed her ancestral authority, reassuming her role as Minister Hua, commander of Xuanhu city guards. The Xuanhu city owner was devastated, lamenting his ruined family, and bitterly blaming Chen Qianqian for causing his wife to leave. In a fit of anger, he swiftly enacted a series of stringent new laws restricting women's attire, education, and involvement in politics or business, even prohibiting them from initiating divorce. These oppressive decrees caused widespread discontent among Xuanhu women, who, inspired by Minister Hua, began to demand more autonomy. Simultaneously, in Huayuan City, Chen Chuchu's rule was equally tyrannical. She openly interfered with state affairs, issuing harsh decrees targeting men, ordering the arrest and punishment of any man found improperly dressed, learning to read, or engaging in business. The men of Huayuan suffered greatly under her oppressive policies. Pei Hong, deeply troubled by his adoptive sister's actions, confronted her, but Chen Chuchu defiantly declared that her will was the people's will, dismissing his concerns. Before the Xuanhu army's departure, Han Shua sought out his father for a private conversation. The Xuanhu city owner reminisced about his youthful romance with Minister Hua, recalling her as a fearless and captivating warrior. He lamented that after their marriage, she had lost her vibrant spirit. Han Shua subtly rebuked his father, likening his mother to a magnolia, a flower of unique elegance meant for the open wilderness, whose charm would be suppressed if confined indoors. He questioned why his father, who fell in love with a proud warrior, had forced her into a stereotypical domestic role and wondered if he truly understood her desires. On the day of departure, Chen Qianqian formally introduced Su Xing to Minister Hua, recommending him as her lieutenant, though with a cautious warning. Meanwhile, the Xuanhu city owner, perhaps influenced by Han Shua's words, secretly packed his belongings and followed his wife's army. The eldest princess, accompanied by Su Mu, managed to escape the city owner's mansion through a secret passage and met up with Chen Qianqian. Upon learning that the Huayuan city owner and Pei Hong were imprisoned, and deeply disillusioned by Chen Chuchu's cruel and tyrannical actions, Su Xing proposed a daring, bitter flesh strategy. Chen Qianqian initially wanted to avoid collateral damage to Huayuan citizens from a direct assault. Su Xing suggested she feign capture by him, allowing them to infiltrate the city and seize Chen Chuchu without bloodshed. Although Han Shuo offered to join, Chen Qianqian decided to go alone with Su Ziying to make the deception more convincing. Su Ziying, with the cooperation of Han Shuo and his subordinate Bai Ji, successfully enacted the plan. He dramatically presented a supposedly captured Chen Qianqian at the city gates, gaining entry into Huayuan City. However, the Xuanhu city owner, who had secretly followed his wife, was discovered while trying to speak with her and was promptly apprehended by the city guards. The Xuanhu city owner and Minister Hua, now captured, found themselves imprisoned alongside the Huayuan city owner. This unexpected meeting of the two city owners led to an amusing debate about their children's marriage, arguing fiercely over whether Han Shuo should reside in Huayuan or Xuanhu, and whose surname their future children would bear. Eventually, Minister Hua and Sang Qi mediated, leading to a compromise. Any sons would take the Han surname, while daughters would be surnamed Chen. Simultaneously, Chen Chuchu, having been informed of Chen Qianqian's presence, ordered the city guards to seize her. However, the city guard commanders, tired of Chen Chuchu's misrule, her disregard for the citizens' welfare, and her betrayal of the late Minister Pei Wujiang's legacy, refused to obey. They openly sided with Chen Qianqian, turning their weapons against Chen Chuchu, who stood alone and betrayed. As Chen Chuchu and her forces stood at a tense standoff with Chen Qianqian's allies, Pei Heng arrived with the city guards. Seeing the tide turn against her, Chen Chuchu attempted to stab Chen Qianqian, but Han Shuo suddenly shielded Chen Qianqian, collapsing unconscious shortly after. The eldest princess quickly examined Han Shuo. Although the sword narrowly missed his heart, his lungs were severely damaged, leaving him with little time left. Chen Qianqian was heartbroken, regretting that she had written Han Shuo's death into the script. Han Shuo, however, comforted her, stating that he had no regrets meeting her and that his sacrifice for her, Huayuan City, and Xuanhu City was worthwhile. He explained that this was not the ending Chen Qianqian wrote, but his own decision as Han Shuo. He believed he now understood why the male lead would love the female lead, because she was kind, optimistic, and strong, never backing down from setbacks. He hoped he was her good match, and that she would never regret their meeting. Han Shuo urged her to bravely finish the story and return to her own world, expressing his desire to see her ascend to the city owner's throne with his own eyes. Listening from the doorway, the city lord and his wife were moved to tears. Despite their grief, they did not blame Chen Qianqian, respecting their son's choice and sense of responsibility. In the aftermath, Huayuan City transformed. Pei Heng was reinstated as Minister of Education and opened a school, ensuring that all citizens, male and female, could receive an education, promoting equality. Reflecting on the saying, "Nothing lasts forever, seize the day," and unwilling for hatred to linger, Chen Qianqian visited Chen Chuchu in prison. Chen Chuchu, stripped of her former prestige, was filled with bitterness. Chen Qianqian acknowledged her own part in Chen Chuchu's downfall, admitting that if she had died early on as intended, Han Shuo would have allied with Chen Chuchu, Su Ziying and Meng Guo would have sided with her, and she would have earned the love of the people. However, Chen Qianqian explained that her survival wasn't her fault, and Chen Chuchu's failure stemmed from her inability to adapt when faced with an unexpected stumbling block. Chen Qianqian emphasized that Chen Chuchu, despite being the original protagonist with golden fingers in the story, ultimately lacked the virtue and talent to become a true city owner. A few days later, the city owner succession ceremony was to take place. An old legend held that the first city owner of Huayuan City encountered a miraculous vision of the sun and moon shining together and the heavens opening during her succession ceremony, signifying a wise ruler. Chen Qianqian proposed that all three sisters, herself, Chen Chuchu, and the eldest princess, walk the succession path to see who could summon this auspicious phenomenon. The city lord stating that whoever triggered the sign would inherit the throne. Chen Chuchu went first, full of confidence. However, as she offered incense, dark clouds gathered and strong winds erupted, an ominous sign. Shocked, Chen Chuchu dismissed it as coincidence. Next, the eldest princess, supported by Su Mu, walked the path. The sky turned clear, but with no special omens. When it was Chen Qianqian's turn, she refused to walk the path, wanting to remain in this world with the man she loved. However, Han Shuo, defying Bai Ji's pleas and struggling with his deteriorating condition, appeared. He stumbled and coughed up blood before collapsing down the steps. Chen Qianqian rushed to him, distraught. Han Shuo insisted on appearing because he did not want her to be left alone in this world after he was gone. He wanted her to return to her own reality, saying, "You have your own world. I don't have much time left to be with you." At that moment, the sky suddenly glowed with brilliant light, and auspicious clouds descended, astonishing the officials, who knelt in reverence. Han Shuo smiled, looking at the auspicious clouds. Chen Qianqian's vision blurred, and as she reached out to touch him, everything dissolved into a strong white light. When Chen Qianqian, now Chen Xiaoqian, opened her eyes, she found herself back in her familiar modern apartment. The wall clock showed only a few hours had passed, and her laptop screen still displayed the revised ending of her script, where Chen Chuchu became the city owner amidst auspicious signs. Chen Xiaoqian was stunned, struggling to believe that her experiences in Huayuan City were merely a dream. Filled with an emptiness, Chen Xiaoqian received a call from her producer, who informed her that the lead actor, Mr. Han, had been in a car accident, injuring his lungs, and would need 3 months to recover. Remembering Han Shua's similar injury and Mr. Han's striking resemblance to him, Chen Xiaoqian rushed to the hospital. There, she spoke to Mr. Han about the joys and sorrows of Chen Qianqian and Han Shua. Initially, Mr. Han seemed annoyed, telling her she was too immersed in the story. He claimed his head was filled with memories of apple, banana, orange, that were not his own, and that he was struggling to differentiate between dream and reality. However, when he called her Orange, a nickname only Han Shua used, Chen Xiaoqian knew with certainty that he was Han Shua. She instantly hugged him. Life is full of unexpected encounters, and sometimes, a single moment of perseverance is all it takes for two people to find their destined union.